Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Well, this is my first video on YouTube and I'm so excited. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Abir and I'm an English teacher. Well, for those who are not familiar with my content, I share stories and conversations in English about different topics for English learners. And I know that most of students hate and find listening comprehension tests super duper difficult. So in order to change that, I thought about posting this kind of content to help people familiarize themselves with English language through listening and improve in the process their listening skills, so the day they take the IELTS exam or the TOEFL exam, they'll find the listening test very easy. So I'm pretty sure that by the end of this video you will have learned so many new words. This video will expand your vocabulary like no other. So bear with me because there'll be comprehension questions, but also vocabulary questions. So let's get started. Alright guys, before you listen to the story, I will give you a picture that will help you guess what the story is about. So look at the picture. What do you see? Can you describe this picture to me? Nice. Now I want you to listen carefully and tell me what the story is about, what the speaker in the story is talking about. I never thought I would tell this story publicly. I was ashamed and embarrassed. I am now 30 years old and still reluctant to share. The reason I'm doing this is because now I have a child who is 8 years old and was mistreated at his former school. The other reason I am sharing my story is because I work with children. I am a teacher, and I work with kids who have been or are being bullied, and I want them to know they are not alone. Students with ADHD are twice as likely to be bullied at school when compared to their neurotypical peers. I didn't know then that I had ADHD, but I know now and it makes a whole lot of sense. I don't remember exactly when it started, but I know it was very early on. I remember incidents as early as grade 2, so I must have been around 7 years old maybe. And as I got older, it only got worse. I was chased in the playground by mobs of children, hit with a baseball bat, and constantly mocked, insulted, and made fun of. Once when I tried to tell a teacher, she laughed at me. When I tried to tell the principal, he essentially shooed me out of his office, telling me to deal with it on my own. So if you are someone who is being bullied, please tell an adult you trust. You are not alone and you should not have to deal with this on your own. It is not your fault. It is the responsibility of the adults to protect children and youth, and you do not deserve this. I thought it was my fault. I was so embarrassed that I didn't even tell my parents until I was 12 years old. And when I was about to move from elementary to middle school in the hopes that I could switch schools, nope. I was not allowed to switch schools until 2 years later when I was moving to high school. It was a relief to finally be free of my tormentors after 7 years, but the psychological damage had been done. Bullying is very different from teasing, by the way. It's different from teasing, fighting, or students not getting along. No! Bullying is a behavior that is intended to cause fear, intimidation, humiliation, distress, or other forms of harm to another person's feelings, self-esteem, body, or reputation, or is intended to create a negative school environment for another person. So whether you're the parent, the teacher, or the coach, or other trusted adult in the child's life, when a child tells you this is happening, you must take them seriously. They came to you for a reason and they need your help. So this is what you should do. You should believe the child, and you should listen to the child and let them know it is not their fault. You're sorry this is happening and that you will help them. And tell them you care about them. They do not deserve this, and that is not okay for someone to treat them this way. Please keep in mind that many children who bully other children, especially children who are younger, smaller, or otherwise vulnerable, are often victims of bullying elsewhere in their life, sometimes in their own home. While it is perfectly natural to be angry, keep in mind that they are still a child and this behavior was likely taught to them somewhere along the way. This does not make it okay. However, the onus is on the adults to teach and role model kindness. Sadly, not all children have positive role models in their lives. All schools should require to have a student code of conduct that specifically addresses bullying. So as a parent, you should request a meeting with the principal and the classroom teacher if the bullying is happening in their classroom, and review your school's student handbook or code of conduct as it relates to bullying before the meeting. There is actually an article that I read in an Australian parenting website. It has very interesting suggestions for working with your child's classroom teacher when bullying happens. So these are the things that a parent should do. First, like they should make a time to speak privately with the teacher and calmly present your concerns as a joint issue for you both to deal with. For example, Tyler says Sam is hitting him at lunch, calling him name and telling the other kids not to play with him. I'd like you to help to find out what's happening and to determine what we can do about it. You should discuss the problem with the teacher and ask for the teacher's views. You should also ask for a copy of the school's anti-bullying policies and procedures, or obtain one from your school or division's website. Be assertive but not accusatory. For example, yes, children do tease sometimes. However, I do not agree this was just teasing. It is more serious than that. End the meeting with a plan for how the situation will be managed. For example, I am glad to hear that you will speak to the other teachers about this so they can watch the children carefully in the playground at lunchtime. Thank you, and I'll look forward to talking to you again. And that's all. If you have met with a classroom teacher and giving them an opportunity to address the situation, yet you feel they have not, please request to meet with the principal or the supervisor. Now that we're done with the storytelling part, let's answer the question, what this story is about. Alright, I will help you with hints. I will give you 3 alternatives and you're going to pick one of them. This story is about a student who was bullied by her teachers, or about a teacher who deals with bullies in her classroom, or about a bullying survivor who is trying to help victim of bullying like herself. So, which one of them is the right alternative? Yes, the speaker was a victim of bullying. The speaker was bullied in the past by her classmates, and now she's trying to help other victims of bullying. Well done. Now you're going to listen to the story again, but only to the first part. So you can take note, you can write those questions, or if you can memorize them, that's all right. So if you can't, you can write them. So the first question is, how old is the speaker? How old is she? The second question is, what does she do for a living? And the third question is, how old was she when the bullying started? And finally, the last question is, what did the speaker have that made her different from normal kids? I never thought I would tell this story publicly. I was ashamed and embarrassed. I am now 30 years old and still reluctant to share. The reason I'm doing this is because now I have a child who is 8 years old and was mistreated at his former school. The other reason I am sharing my story is because I work with children. I'm a teacher, and I work with kids who have been or are being bullied, and I want them to know they are not alone. Students with ADHD are twice as likely to be bullied at school when compared to their neurotypical peers. Um, I didn't know then that I had ADHD, but I know now and it makes a whole lot of sense. I don't remember exactly when it started, but I know it was very early on. I remember incidents as early as grade 2, so I must have been around 7 years old maybe. And as I got older, it only got worse. All right, now that you have listened to the first part of the story, let's answer those questions. So, how old is the speaker? How old is she? Yes, she is 30 years old. Well done. You've done a great job. All right, let's move to the second question. What does she do for a living? Like, what does she do? Okay, yes, she is a teacher. Yes, she's a teacher. And how old was she when the bullying started? Very good. Yes, she was only 7 years old when the bullying started. Finally, what did the speaker have that made her different from normal kids? Yes, she has ADHD. Yes, she has ADHD, which made her quite special, and perhaps it was one of the reasons why she was bullied at school. Now listen to the second part and answer those questions. The first question is, what did the kids do to her at school? So she said that she was bullied, but what did they do to her exactly? The second question is, did she talk to someone about it? And what did they do? When did she tell her parents about bullying? When exactly? How long did she suffer from bullying? How many years? So listen and answer those questions. I was chased in the playground by mobs of children, hit with a baseball bat, and constantly mocked, insulted, and made fun of. Once, when I tried to tell a teacher, she laughed at me. When I tried to tell the principal, he essentially shooed me out of his office, telling me to deal with it on my own. So, if you are someone who is being bullied, please tell an adult you trust. You are not alone and you should not have to deal with this on your own. It is not your fault. It is the responsibility of the adults to protect children and youth, and you do not deserve this. I thought it was my fault. I was so embarrassed that I didn't even tell my parents until I was 12 years old. And when I was about to move from elementary to middle school in the hopes that I could switch schools, nope. I was not allowed to switch schools until 2 years later when I was moving to high school. It was a relief to finally be free of my tormentors after 7 years, but the psychological damage had been done. Now that you have listened to the second part, let's answer the questions. What did the kids do to her at school? Yes, those kids insulted her, mocked her, hit her with a baseball bat. So, yeah, they really did terrible things. The second question, did she talk to someone about it? And what did they do? Yes, she actually told her teacher, and guess what they did? They turned their back on her. They did not help her. Actually, they laughed at her. So, this is what happened. For those who are not familiar with this idiom, to turn your back on someone is when you refuse to help them when they need you. Was the teacher the only person the speaker turned to for help? No. She actually talked to the principal and he shooed her out of his office. Yeah, I know. I bet you're confused with those words. I know that some of you feel frustrated, feeling like they've never heard these words before, like, what does it mean to shoo someone out of their office? Yes, I will explain this later on with a very simple vocabulary activity that we're going to do together so that you can fully grasp the meaning. So bear with us, be patient, and listen to the whole video. When did she tell her parents about bullying? She told them when she was 12. The first time she told them she was 12. And how long did she suffer from bullying? About 7 years. Yeah, she spent 7 years of her life dealing with bullies, enduring the suffering of being bullied every day at school. That's a very long period of time. Well done, you've done a great job. I'm so proud of you. Now, listen carefully and answer these two questions. Name 3 things an adult should do when a bullied child turns to them for help. Just name 3 pieces of advice. The second question is, what are the factors that turn a child into a bully according to the speaker? Or what makes a child become a bully? Why do children become bullies at school? So try to find the reason or the factors from the story. Bullying is very different from teasing, by the way. It's different from teasing, fighting, or students not getting along. No. Bullying is a behavior that is intended to cause fear, intimidation, humiliation, distress, or other forms of harm to another person's feelings, self-esteem, body, or reputation, or is intended to create a negative school environment for another person. So, whether you're the parent, the teacher, or the coach, or other trusted adult in the child's life, when a child tells you this is happening, you must take them seriously. They came to you for a reason and they need your help. So, this is what you should do. You should believe the child and you should listen to the child and let them know it is not their fault. You're sorry this is happening and that you will help them. And tell them you care about them. They do not deserve this, and that is not okay for someone to treat them this way. Please keep in mind that many children who bully other children, especially children who are younger, smaller, or otherwise vulnerable, are often victims of bullying elsewhere in their life, sometimes in their own home. While it is perfectly natural to be angry, keep in mind that they are still a child and this behavior was likely taught to them somewhere along the way. This does not make it okay. However, the onus is on the adults to teach and role model kindness. Sadly, not all children have positive role models in their lives. Now that you're done listening, let's answer the 2 questions. Alright, question 1. Name 3 things an adult should do when a bullied child turns to them for help. Alright, so if a teacher, for example, or principal receives a student who complains about bullying, first thing first, you should listen to them and believe them and reassure them and give them support, like moral support. Tell them that they are not alone, that they don't deserve it, it's not their fault. So provide them with support, emotional support, and make them feel they are protected. As for the factors that make a child become a bully, it's perhaps that these kids maybe they were bullied elsewhere or they were taught this behavior by their parents or grown-ups in their surroundings, in their background. So they must have seen someone mistreating others. People are not born mean. People get influenced, especially when people talk about children, they are influenced by grown-ups. They mimic everything they do. So what do you think, guys? Do you think that bullies were victims of bullying? You've done a great job. I mean, I'm so proud of you guys. Like, you've gone so far. You answered all those questions. Now we came to the last part. So the last part of the story. Listen carefully and answer these two questions. What are the measures schools should take to protect children from bullying? I'm going to paraphrase the question. What should schools do to protect children from bullying? The second question is, what should parents do when they find out their child is a victim of bullying? You can name 3 things parents should do. All schools should require to have a student code of conduct that specifically addresses bullying. So as a parent, you should request a meeting with the principal and the classroom teacher if the bullying is happening in their classroom, and review your school's student handbook or code of conduct as it relates to bullying before the meeting. There is actually an article that I read in an Australian parenting website. It has very interesting suggestions for working with your child's classroom teacher when bullying happens. So these are the things that a parent should do. First, like they should make a time to speak privately with the teacher and calmly present your concerns as a joint issue for you both to deal with. For example, Tyler says Sam is hitting him at lunch, calling him name and telling the other kids not to play with him. I'd like you to help to find out what's happening and to determine what we can do about it. You should discuss the problem with the teacher and ask for the teacher's views. You should also ask for a copy of the school's anti-bullying policies and procedures, or obtain one from your school or division's website. Be assertive but not accusatory. For example, yes, children do tease sometimes. However, I do not agree this was just teasing. It is more serious than that. End the meeting with a plan for how the situation will be managed. For example, I am glad to hear that you will speak to the other teachers about this so they can watch the children carefully in the playground at lunchtime. Thank you, and I'll look forward to talking to you again. And that's all. If you have met with a classroom teacher and giving them an opportunity to address the situation, yet you feel they have not, please request to meet with the principal or the supervisor. All right, we're done with the last part. Now let's answer the questions together. So what are the measures schools should take to protect children from bullying? So schools should have a code of conduct, and any act of bullying should be reported to the teacher or to the principal. As for the things a parent should do, they have to arrange a private meeting, and then they have to express their concern. They tell them what is going on in their classroom, and also ask the teacher about their views, what they think about this behavior, what they think about the bully and the victim of bullying. So these are examples of things a parent should do. Oh, so some of you think we're done, but we are not. So I have a couple of vocabulary questions for you. So there are words that were mentioned in the story, and I think that they might be unfamiliar to some of you. So now you are assigned to do this multiple choice activity. I will give you a word from the passage. It's from the story, and you're going to pick just one synonym for that word. So there'll be 3 options, and you're going to pick just one of them. You are going to listen to this part, and you're going to tell me what did the speaker mean when they said, the principal shooed me out of his office? Did they mean kicked, or guided, or pushed? So try to find the right equivalent word, okay, the word that is synonymous with shoot. Once when I tried to tell teacher, she laughed at me. When I tried to tell the principal, he essentially shooed me out of his office, telling me to deal with it on my own. Alright, so now that you have listened to the part where the word shoot is mentioned, let's find out what is the meaning of this word. So some of you are not familiar with shoo. It's an expression that native people use when they want to drive away or when they want to frighten an animal, usually a dog. For example, imagine you're in your house and there is a stray dog in your garden and you're scared it might bite one of your kids and you're like, shoo, shoo, which means get out of here. So you're trying to scare the animal. The verb in this context means to kick out. So the principal shooed the student out of his office as if they were a dog that broke into their office. So he shooed her out and he kicked her out. So, of course, you have to take down the new words and use them in reading or oral form so that you can memorize them. So, right, to shoo means to drive away or to kick out. So, this is a new word. Let's move to the second word, tormentors. So listen to this sentence or to this passage and find the equivalent word for tormentors. Is it harassers or pretenders or protectors? So try to find the right synonymous word. Listen and tell me. I was not allowed to switch schools until 2 years later when I was moving to high school. It was a relief to finally be free of my tormentors after 7 years, but the psychological damage had been done. Alright, so which one do you think is the right synonymous word? So what do you think? Is it pretenders, harassers, or protectors? So even if you don't know what the word means, I think that the context will help you figure out the meaning. So tormentors here means harassers. Tormentors, to torment means to torture, to harass, to inflict pain on people, to cause pain and suffering, to make people suffer. So that's to torment or a tormentor. So the speaker's tormentors are his bullies, the people or the kids who bullied him, or bullied her, I'm sorry. All right, now I want to ask you a question. Can you describe the speaker's bullies, the kids who bullied the speaker? Can you use adjectives to describe them? And can you describe the speaker? Can you describe the teacher? All right, so I'm going to describe the teacher and say that the teacher is someone brave. So someone brave is someone courageous, someone who goes out of their way to help others. She is brave because she shared a very personal story that triggers a lot of bad memories. You know, she survived long years of bullying and now she became this successful teacher who wants to help her students, who wants to raise awareness about this issue. So we can say that she's brave. She's also helpful, all right? The reason why she shared this story is because she wants to shed light on bullying at school. You know, this is a problem that many students are going through. So, and she wants to help parents who have kids who are bullied at school. She wants to help, let's say, the teachers and people work in the school when they receive someone who complains about bullying, how to deal with them, how to treat them. So she's a helpful person. As for the bullies, the kids, we can say that they're rude. A rude person is a person who deliberately says hurtful words or does hurtful actions to make others suffer. So they are rude. We can also say that those kids are impolite, they have no manners, they have no consideration, they behave in an ill way, so they are ill behaved. So there are many words to describe their behavior. It's unmannered, it's ill behaved, it's disrespectful. They are disrespectful. They do not respect the school, they do not respect the rules, they do not respect their classmates. So yeah, disrespectful, mean, rude, impolite, unmannered. So there are many words that we can use to describe bullies. All right, it's the end. I have enjoyed this story and I have enjoyed this video. I don't know if you have enjoyed it the way I did. I love you so much, guys. Thank you for listening to this story, and I hope that you learned a bunch of new words, a bunch of new things, and that this video was informative and beneficial to you. I'll be posting more videos of this sort. I mean, if this video gets so many views and so many comments and positive feedback, of course, I'm going to post more videos of this type. So I need your support. So don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much and see you next time.